Hey, welcome, small group leaders, to yet another small group leader podcast. I am your host, Philip, and I'm going to dissect the message from this past week so that you can help your group go further, faster. Okay, now with this podcast, you'll notice there will be questions that come along with it. But what we'll do is we'll take just a few minutes. This will be a short video that you'll watch each and every week where we will dive into the message, unpack it a little bit more, things that if we were sitting around a table we could actually talk about a little more that we couldn't do yesterday during the sermon. So yesterday we had Kenny, our co-pastor, teach, and he did an amazing job. But he taught in this series we're in. We were in week 3 of You Asked, We Answered, where we told you several months ago, would you please tell us what you want us to teach on? And man, you guys delivered. You had everything from forgiveness to suffering, and then prayer was this last one. You really want to know about prayer, and Kenny had a lot of really amazing things to say about prayer, but specifically he dug into James, and you'll probably remember the text. The prayer of a righteous person is effective. Okay? And then he asked a question. He asked, are you righteous? And that might be something good to ask in your group. See if they're really paying attention. Ask them if they're righteous and see if all of them raise their hand, because they should. But we often, it's pride that keeps us from doing that. But what we want to do in this podcast is really help you as a small group leader hone in on the application of this text. So Kenny did a masterful job of bridging this gap between the biblical text and then what you can do and how you can bring this home for your group. And I don't want that to go to waste. So what I will do when he's teaching is I'll be taking diligent notes. And then what he's going to do when I'm teaching is take diligent notes so that we can give this podcast to you so that you know what the application is. Okay. And he really had 4 areas of application of a righteous person. 4 areas that we need to be praying in. And I thought this was really, really good. So the first thing, if you know anything about Pastor Kenny, he loves spreadsheets. All right. We are co-pastors. So I handle the teaching spiritual formation and he handles the staff and a lot of the administrative things. And he loves that because he's a spreadsheet type of guy. But his application was actually really good because he wanted basically the point was that you would have a detailed and organized way to pray for people. And for him, he talked about a spreadsheet. We already had some of our staff reach out even today in our staff group text saying that they were creating a spreadsheet so that they too could help pray for other people. I texted him during the message and said, hey, I'm really glad that I made your list, because he does. He texts me once every so often, and I know he's got this order that he's praying. And there's times when he prays specifically for me and for my family, for Sarah, my girls, and he always lets me know when he's doing that, and it just really means a lot to me. It helps our bond really solidify. We do thoroughly enjoy working together. But he was saying, make a spreadsheet, make some sort of detailed way that you can pray for other people. And for me, it's a handwritten journal. I like to write. So as I hear people's stories, I'll pull it out and I'll maybe type something down so that I can look at that list of something that someone shared with me from like a Sunday. A lot of times we get emails here at the office saying, hey, would you please pray for me? A lot of times we have a prayer chain that goes out. People will email in the prayer team, and then I'll always get those. So I'll make a little note, and then I'll handwrite some prayers. So I would encourage you to do that as a group leader, but also your group as well. The second thing that he applied for us is to pray with your spouse. Man, how many times have we set out to do that and then we haven't, right? And it could be just awkward. It could be just new, or maybe you never saw that model growing up. There's an intimidation factor, isn't there? Like, they know you more than anybody else. And you start to pray and you're wondering, like, it's almost like imposter syndrome, right? Like, are they going to sense that I'm praying for them now, but then a few moments later we'll be arguing about who put the dishes in the sink, like that kind of thing? But it's so important. Pray with your spouse. I thought his story of falling asleep praying was pretty good. I love how Teresa, his wife, will call him on those things, don't you? Okay, the third thing that he talked about was around his dinner table. when the kids were growing up, and they would pray together. But he would ask them a question, and we actually do this in our family as well. When we're all together, which for us is often, that's a huge family value of ours. We eat dinner at our table, and yeah, we're young and we still know what a table is, all right? But we'll eat at our table, and we'll ask each other what was the high and the low, or we'll phrase it this way: what was the rose and what was the thorn? Okay, if you want to get poetic with it, you can do that. All right, but we'll ask like, what was the high, what was the low, and then we'll pray for those things. We'll thank God for the highs, and we'll pray for the lows. It's easy to do that in just a conversation. But then there's a fourth thing, and honestly, like this fourth thing was so good, and it was pray for your church. And I don't know, like he said, we don't know how much you actually pray for your church, but it's more than just praying for your leaders. As pastors, we covet your prayers, we want your prayers, but man, to pray that our church would be so irresistible to the unchurched around us is really what we want to pray for, right? So encourage your group this week. Pray for your, in fact, take some time in your group to pray for your church. It's so, so important, you guys. So do that, all right? Pray for your church and pray that we wouldn't just, like he said, we don't want these little bitty prayers, we want these big prayers. Like, God, would you please help us be a pillar in our community where people know that they can come and be known, but they can also know Jesus and make him known. May our church be a church that turns out people that not only just attend a service on Sunday, but they are so passionate about spreading the gospel. And may the gospel actually spread right here in West Michigan because of that. Those are the kinds of prayers that we're asking for, okay? Not would we continue to have no debt. Thank you for those prayers, okay? Not would we, ensure even the safety of our staff. Of course, we want to be safe, but it's more like, God, would you help us just get uncomfortable for the things that you're uncomfortable with and let us do something about them? So that's what I'm going to ask you to do as a small group leader. Before you ever meet with your group this week, pray that prayer. And then I would ask that you would lead them in a time of prayer and pray for the big things. Pray for big things for KCC. Your group and you are an active part of that. Okay, so that's all we have today. A great invite also at the end to the prayer ministry. Make sure your group knows about our prayer ministry. They can email the office to get into that. It's actually a super easy thing to be a part of. If you can talk or sign language, you can be a part of it, okay? So we would love to keep adding to that ministry. So our church would truly be a praying church, and it is, but there's always room for more. So we'll see you next week right here on the Small Group Leader Podcast.